which is wrestling and cross country and track and field. Jimmy and I are both wrestlers and runners, and then we went our kind of ways in college. We were both junior college All-Americans, myself in cross country, Jimmy in wrestling. And yeah, we find that a lot of people really enjoy what we do with the wrestling programs and the cross country programs and all that stuff. And, we're Jersey guys. So, we have a lot of respect for Pennsylvania wrestling, and we hold it in high regard, and we're excited to hear more about it and hear more about the program. And one of the other main things is we're just trying to create conversations we wish would have been presented to us when we were going through the recruiting process in high school. And sometimes your guidance counselors might lead you astray and maybe tell you to take the safe chance. And we're big on dreaming big and taking chances. So we just like having epic conversations and talking to people like yourself, hearing about great coaches and great programs.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you having me on, and the respect is mutual between PA and Jersey as it pertains to the wrestling eliteness. So you guys are awesome, and I appreciate you doing what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, we want to get into that. That's always the great debate. I think Jimmy and I both have no problem conceding the top of the hill to Pennsylvania, even though I think we might have more All-Americans at the NCAA this year. But
Oh yeah,
we'll argue for second or third every year for sure.
that's good stuff.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Another episode of Airey Bros Radio live. Make sure you like and subscribe this and all of our episodes on YouTube. Drop us a comment, leave us some feedback. Every view, every review, every share helps grow and give back to the sports we love. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. This episode is fueled by CS Instant Coffee and Black Sheep Endurance Coaching for all your running and nutrition needs. And let's not forget why we do this. We're here to shine a light on the athletes, coaches, and mentors we wish you had access to growing up. If you're a student of the sport, a parent trying to find the right fit, this one's for you. Tonight, our guest is joining us from Pennsylvania, Coach Ben Clymer. He is the head coach at Faith Christian Academy. He's a 2024 Bucks County Coach of the Year. He led Faith Christian to 4 state champions, a total of 10 medalists, and a national #1 team ranking. He's the founder of Lions Den Wrestling Club. He's also a 3-time NCAA qualifier. He was a 2011 CAA champion at 184 pounds for Hofstra, and he's a 2008 PIAA state champion and a standout football player for Northwestern Lehigh High School. Without further ado, it is an honor and pleasure. Coach Clymer, we greatly appreciate your time. We're excited to chat with you tonight. Welcome to the show.
It's awesome to be here, guys. I sincerely appreciate you having me on, and I can't wait to chit chat wrestling and whatever else you guys have planned for tonight.
Awesome. Well, Coach, before we get too far into it, anything you would like to promote? Any camps, any clinics, anything you got going on at the club, anything with the school? The floor is yours.
I tell you what, it's on Instagram. You can follow me at Ben J Clymer. The wrestling handle is Faith Christian Wrestling. So look up either of those pages on Instagram and follow those. But otherwise, like Lions Den Wrestling Club that I started, I have since handed that off to becoming like a nonprofit organization that can really serve like our youth program. And our program has gotten so big over the years that it's honestly just like a good stay above reproach move as kids are like transferring into the school. We don't want the stigma of like Lions Den Wrestling Club, and this is a recruiting tool. We don't really want that to be a thing. And so Lions Den is its own nonprofit K-8 youth club that really services just like the students at Faith Christian in some of the local areas. So I don't do anything else with that. And so I don't really have any camps or anything like that to promote. A lot of what we do at the high school level is sort of low key in-house. So yeah, nothing else to promote on my end.
Okay. Coach, we know you grew up in the Lehigh Valley, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And you're pretty relatively close to New Jersey at this point, right? Where you live?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have we always like to ask our Jersey guests, we're wondering if you, because Coach Brian Snyder from Nebraska weighed in on this, and he's a Pennsylvania guy. Do you have any say in the pork roll versus Taylor ham debate? Are you familiar with that at all?
I'm familiar with it, but I don't. It's not keeping me up at night. I go
Okay.
pork roll for sure,
Okay.
but it's not deeply studied.
Yeah. And is it true as a Pennsylvania guy, Scrapple's better anyway?
Not a huge scrapple guy.
Okay.
Honestly, I go pork roll over scrapple.
All right.
Had it before, but yeah, I go pork roll over scrapple. Yeah,
All right. Welcome to the family.
Yeah,
that's where
Coach.
you guys are at. Help me out
Yes,
with the
sir.
conversation.
Yeah, we're pork roll guys. It's like, some people we say we're from Central New Jersey. Some people don't even say Central New Jersey is a thing, but typically it's a North Jersey thing, which is Taylor ham, and then anything south of like exit 127 on the Parkway typically tends to be pork roll.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I mean, Pennsylvania is like Wawa. They don't really know exactly what's going on. But for my years on Long Island, it's just bacon, egg, and cheese
Hmm.
on a roll, salt, pepper, ketchup. But when I mix it up, definitely pork roll. I'm with you guys, man.
All right,
Keep it Central South Jersey. I like
there
that.
you go. And
And
we're,
I
we're
ask
ro-
you guys, being from Central Jersey, where do you land on the professional stage? Are you Eagles? Are you Giants? Are you who cares?
we don't really care. That's not really on the menu for us. But if we had to, we would go New York loyalty over Philadelphia loyalty.
Okay. That's all
But
right.
there is a divide within the family because there's some people that live in the southern part of our county, and that's kind of where it starts to divide from New York teams to Philadelphia teams.
It's a little green down there in South
It
Jersey.
does. It definitely does.
Coach, you said you're not staying up at night for the pork roll Taylor ham debate, but we're gonna count your pork roll. We're gonna put that on the tally on the board. So
Nice.
thank you for that.
Nice.
Coach, one thing we like to do when we talk to wrestling coaches and wrestlers is see their origin story, how they started wrestling. I know you grew up in a wrestling rich community. I might have heard your dad kind of pushed you into it. How'd you get into wrestling?
Yeah, that was the story, man. Like I played basketball, football, baseball, soccer. We played all sports, and I still do, man. I just love all sports, man. Golf, tennis, you name it. But my dad did not wrestle, and so that was not really on the horizon for us. And our grandfather had a little bit of a wrestling background. So for some reason, my dad ended up pushing me and my older brother into the wrestling program at Northwestern Lehigh. I was in fourth grade. My older brother Scotty was in fifth grade. And unbeknownst to us, like the team was stacked. And so as the dads in that program saw that we had some athleticism and good competitiveness, they really told my dad, like, park it right here, man. Your boys are wrestling. Keep them in the program. And it was unfortunate for me because I was horrible. Like I got pinned and I cried and I faked injuries. Like it was no good out the gate. But my dad knew it was going to be a good thing for us. And the guys, like I said, that we were going to be surrounded by were good people, hardworking people, wanted to be elite in the sport. And so, 5, 6 years of button heads with my dad, and finally sort of bought in and hustled after the wrestling thing, and uh really really thankful for him because it was a bunch of years. Like even going into high school, I wanted to play basketball, but um he knew I was a little bit gifted in the sport, and he also would tell you that like just the group of friends that we were around, maybe my basketball buddies weren't totally as disciplined and focused, and the wrestling family had a little bit more of that for me. So yeah, grateful my dad pushed me into it.
The one thing that always amazed me with Pennsylvania is you'd go to Fargo, a PA kid would whip you up, and then you'd be looking at the PA states, and they wouldn't even make it to the state tournament. And that would always blow my mind because usually in New Jersey, if you place in Fargo, you're getting on the medal stand, if not winning it. And Rich said you were a Pennsylvania state champion. So what was that journey like in high school, being as tough as Pennsylvania is? You got kids that are nationally caliber ranked kids that don't even go to states.
Yeah, it was my brother sort of pioneered the process. Like he became a state champ. And so even though there's this allure to, Pennsylvania wrestling and being a state champ, I think when you have the blessing of a brother that sort of achieves it, it doesn't seem like such a far out thing, right? Like it's just, yeah, we're training together, the whole team's training together, and we got guys that are placing high and garnishing Division I scholarship. So it didn't seem like this mystical thing that was high up on a pedestal. It just was something that I was capable of doing. And my journey is a little bit odd, just in that like I love football. I probably love football more than wrestling, and so I didn't hustle after wrestling year round until my junior year. I was actually academically ineligible. I was ranked #1 in the state. Kid that I beat at the regional tournament right before the state tournament ended up going on and being the state champ. And I was ineligible because of a missed assignment during team states, and that bothered the snot out of me. And I committed myself in between my junior year and senior year of attacking and working my tail off. And so that definitely was something that helped spur on the state run my senior year. My older brother's success, our program success, and that little academic hiccup my junior year, all good testimonies as to how it happened.
Coach, are you and your brother similar in size?
Not. So I was always putting on weight and lifting and football first guy. I'll wrestle where I'm at. And Scotty was the wrestling nut. And so he got kind of caught up like cutting weight and stuff like that as a freshman and sophomore. And so he was always like a 125, 135, and I was 171. He probably finished out college at 149 and I was 184. But yeah, when he got done college and sort of got rid of that stigma of needing to cut weight, he did some fighting and jiu-jitsu, went out to Cali for a little time, and so he's like pretty slapped together 175 now. But yeah, for a while there, I was definitely bigger.
So through those high school years, did he lose the ability to big brother you?
He honestly like he still always had that edge. And like if we would wrestle in the room, his best gift was being a leech on top. Like he would just tight waist tilt anybody. And so there were goes where it was like he was starting on top and I couldn't get him off my back. Like I could squat and reach for him and try to like pry him off and try to like, backwards jump slam him, but he still had an edge on me for sure.
Do you think that helps? So how, because there's 11 years between Jimmy and I, but probably in the last 15 years, the only people that we've gotten in fist fights is with one another. So we we have that to kind of keep each other in check. But I helped Jimmy. I like to think I helped Jimmy a good amount when he was coming up through high school and helping him with training and stuff. But we always talk about how, man, this would have been, it either would have been the best thing if we were like a year apart, or we would have ended up killing each other. Like, we would have been more like the Brands brothers. So I'm curious, did you guys have a good like relationship on the team and stuff?
Yeah, we did. We had a good relationship, and credit my parents. We got good parents that steered us back to, not fighting and always competing over everything. But we're actually the two oldest of 9 siblings. A big old family. So that helped us. We were having to be big brothers to a lot of other siblings, and it wasn't always the Scotty and Ben show. But we definitely like competed against each other still. Like we had fist fights, but there was always a little bit of a tussle for how good Scotty was, and always in the newspaper and always in the rankings and always Scotty, that I wanted some of that spotlight too. And sometimes it would create a little bit of discord, but majority of the time it was just a good, healthy keeping up with each other and wanting to push each other. So
You think that what pushed your love a little bit more for football over wrestling?
no doubt, no doubt. Scotty wasn't big enough to play football, so that got to be my domain, and Scotty's was the wrestling domain, and until it wasn't, until all of a sudden like there was wrestling scholarships coming in and not so many football ones, and like I said, I had a little bit of that smear on my junior year, and I didn't like the taste that left in my mouth, so all of a sudden I jumped on the wrestling bandwagon too. But yeah, Scotty's success for wrestling definitely made it advantageous for me to like that football thing.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it, Jim?
Yes, it does.
What's your guys' split here? What's your split?
Running, wrestling.
Gotcha.
Like Rich's running success, like my parents cared more about running than they did wrestling. And I figured it out really quick where it'd be way easier just to go to wrestling club and not run cross country and argue with my dad about splits and things. And I found that out really quick. And just like the pressure from Rich being so successful and kind of putting that on myself besides what my parents put on me. I am curious, is there more than two state titles in your family, or is it just you and Scotty?
So there's five brothers. None of the girls ended up wrestling. Five brothers. There's three state titles. So
Wow.
Scotty, me, Bobby is after me. He did not win a state title. He was a couple time qualifier, now a state trooper, so he's doing good. Caleb was the fourth boy. He was a state champ, went to Lock Haven. And then Dalton, the youngest, set all sorts of like football records, and he was a little bit more cut from my mold. Loved football and actually ended up like not even wrestling his senior year. So he was a state qualifier, very, very athletic and talented, but really just put all his eggs in the football basket senior year. And so three state titles, Scotty, Ben, Caleb.
I bet the sisters were glad they didn't have wrestling in Pennsylvania at that time.
Yeah, I don't know how much my dad would have like even allowed that. Not no knock on girls wrestling, just how my dad's wired. And but yeah, no doubt they're grateful that they weren't alongside their brothers in the gym. Coming and watching was enough for them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Did you know you always wanted to coach coming up, or was that something out of college that kind of came up?
No, I definitely did. I think being one of the older of a lot of siblings, I mean, I always my parents, like I said, nurtured us into that role. Just really always try to catch our attention and go. It's really important that you guys are walking the walk and listening to us and setting an example because all these younger siblings are simply going to do whatever you do. You guys have a ton of power and responsibility and so it definitely wasn't perfect, but I always liked that situation. And so, yeah, from a pretty young age, I always thought the teaching and coaching thing was a pretty sweet gig. And all the coaches I got to be mentored by, they seem like they love their jobs and summers off and they made coaching look like a ton of fun and had a great impact on us. So I was definitely geared towards that from an early age.
So we definitely want to dive into the coaching, but you had mentioned something that Rich and I used to get in a lot of fights about, where like you might see like the tattoo I have, and like Rich would give me shit and be like, "I'm gonna get in trouble because you got a tattoo, because they're gonna think like I put that in your head, and now I'm gonna have to deal with that." Did you have similar things where a younger sibling would mess up or not doing the right thing, and you would go in on them harder than your parent because you didn't want to hear it from your parents?
Definitely. And my dad was very authoritative, like so he was making the example out of me and Scotty, and it never seemed like the younger siblings bore the brunt of the punishment like we did. So I can definitely resonate with that. But if Scotty was on here, he would still say that I he had to take the fall for me more times than that situation played out for me with some of my younger siblings. So I shouldn't complain.
I know what Scotty went through.
He's the man. As much as we butted heads and like there were points where I really like wasn't a big Scotty fan because of whatever was going on. He like when it came to like taking the fall because one of us had to, he like 99% of the time he just sort of made it happen. And I'm very grateful to him for that. I probably don't tell him that enough. I'm gonna tell Scotty after we talk tonight.
You guys talk regularly?
Yeah, we actually so I don't teach anymore. Not since COVID. It's like COVID and me and my wife started having kids and it just seemed like a good step away. But my dad has a construction company, and so me and my brother both went back to doing that, and we're trying to grow the company with him. So we actually work alongside each other now, and love it. And that was a part of wanting to maybe get back into that too. We got a great family and love each other, and kind of seems like as life was getting busy, um, just not around each other as much and didn't feel real great. So getting to work alongside each other. A little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're ready for some space, but it's been a good thing.
Well, before we go back about getting into the coaching, you mentioned getting out of teaching. We've talked to a lot of coaches in New Jersey, and they talk about how a lot of the schools are missing the coaches in within the high school. A lot of coaches are coaching, and they're not necessarily teaching in the high school, and how sometimes that can be a detriment because you can't necessarily keep an eye on the kids, keep them out of trouble. Obviously, at your school, it's probably a little bit different. There's probably some different rules and just expectations than maybe a public school. But have you found it to be um, beneficial not being in the school all day?
I think I've found it mostly beneficial. There is like the negative side to, like you said, not be able to keep tabs and just like put out fires maybe very quickly. You know what I mean? By the time I show up after working construction to the start of practice, I'm not the earliest guy ever. You guys could tell I signed on tonight, probably a minute or two late. So I don't leave myself a whole lot of time to hear it from the teachers and whatever's going on with the kids. And so I don't get to put out as many fires. But I've found it to be a more positive thing for sure, because at Faith Christian, smaller school, it's growing. But when I was there, I was the athletic director. I taught full time. I did a lot of custodial work. I was teaching driver's ed. I was teaching health. I had my CDL to drive bus, and it was just I was happy to hustle after promoting and growing the school, because I love that. That's a worthwhile hustle. But when I did find it the right time to remove myself, it was kind of like I got to really, you know, just focus on like the little details of the wrestling program. And and now all of a sudden, instead of constantly maybe being annoyed by the guys and where their shortcomings are, and this teacher's annoyed with them, and as the athletic director I have to go talk with them, like I feel like I just get to pour into them more, and I get so excited to see them and they me, that it's probably a much healthier thing than it was 5-6 years ago. So yeah, it's good.
Good. And you started the program at Faith Christian, correct?
Yep. Yeah, I would say me and my papa, that my dad's dad, that had some coaching experience. Wait, you want us to come say hi, Kelsey? Come here. You want to say hi to these guys?
What's
Oh,
up?
Hi, friend.
How you
yo, this
doing?
is my girl Kelsey. You say
Kelsey.
hi.
Kelsey.
Hi.
Hey.
This is Kelsey Harper. Just in case you didn't know who we root for here in Lehigh, Pennsylvania. This is our little Philly girl.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Kelsey after Jason Kelsey and Harper after Bryce Harper, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Die Hard.
Yeah, just that one. It was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Nice.
So she totally made me lose my train of thought. Where were we before that?
Well, if my memory serves me correctly, you were still living in Long Island. You were
Yeah.
up there, and then you got the call
Hmm.
about a phys ed job and a coaching job.
That's right. Yeah. Starting the program 2014. I was subbing and coaching up on Long Island. I guess I just did that for like a year and a half after graduating and finishing up wrestling at Hofstra. And I was like living with some college buddies, and got a random call from my uncle, who's the principal, the headmaster at Faith Christian Academy. And I love Long Island, and my girlfriend, now my wife, she was a alumni of Hofstra and lived up there, and it's very hard to pluck a Long Island girl from her home where all her family lives in a very tight bubble. And but it just was kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. Go start a wrestling program, which would seem really cool, and get to be, not a substitute teacher, but something full time. And it was assistant athletic director gig. So it just seemed like a great opportunity to grow the resume a little bit, fresh slate. See, get out of some of my college, habits and roots and whatever. And so took the plunge, man. And that was back in 2014. So this is year 11 for the wrestling program, and been freaking awesome, man. And like I said, my pop-up, who still kind of works at the school, he was somebody that I got to start the program with, and I'll forever be grateful for that opportunity, because I love my pop-up. So Yeah, man. 14 or 11 years since 2014.
Go ahead, Jim.
So starting a program, 11 years, and now you guys are at top of the mountain, but starting it from scratch. Did you have some bad news Bears days, or were you guys good right out the gate?
Oh, they were a lot of bad news Bears days. Our first year, we did not have like any mats or anything like that. We there was a big hill where the school used to be located in Percy, Sellersville, and all we did for our first year was we would run the hill, and at the top of the hill was a soccer field. We would like just hand fight and practice sort of stance and how to hand fight, and then there was a pavilion up there, and I like strung rope from the exposed trusses in the pavilion, and we would climb rope, and that's all we did. And we had two guys in seventh grade, Max Schultz and Damon Waltonball, that wrestled. Everybody else was brand spanking new, so we didn't. I guess we probably wrestled like two or even three high school matches with just totally random guys, um, and we lost. But that was like it for the first year. We just ran hills, hand fought, climbed rope, and got into two matches with our high school team. And then from there, um, we started to have more of a schedule. We got into the PIAA, and we had a decent showing in middle school, because you could catch some more, newbie wrestlers, and we had a couple guys with experience. But at the varsity level, man, we were sub 500 for 4 or 5 years, and until that middle school group really came up, and then we started to be more competitive. But even years 2, 3, and 4, for 3 years, we still didn't have mats or anything, but a jiu-jitsu academy, Henzo Gracie, like 15 minutes from the school, let us come down there to practice. And so I had a Jeep Liberty at the time, probably seats 4 besides the driver. Dude, I'm not kidding you. I would pack 8, 9, 10 kids into that Jeep Liberty, drive 15 minutes down the 309. My pop op would pack guys into his truck, and just like K to 12, whoever could show up. Like that's what we did for 3 years down at Henzo Gracie, and I'm so thankful. Like we could have gotten in a lot of trouble, man. We were not you know wearing seatbelts, but it's kind of like cool. Like there was no doubt, like, yo, we were trying to hustle. It was messy. It was not always real calculated, but we were hustling, and without those years of those kids really trying to make up ground without any experience, um, it probably doesn't start to shine a light on some of the other kids from the surrounding area that ended up transferring in. But there was some growth early in those years, even though they're sub 500 records, and people could tell that something cool was happening. There was a good energy to it, and then the floodgates sort of opened, man. So yeah, pretty
Well,
cool.
I feel like you had a lot of fun just from listening to you talk about that because a lot of people listen to this might think, oh man, that doesn't, that might be horrible losing and not having kids to have on the team, having math, but it sounds like you had a really good time doing that and didn't take it too seriously. Obviously, you wanted to win, but you knew where you were.
Yeah, I definitely have that tick to me. You see me at tournaments and stuff like that, and I smile and interact with the coaches, and have an appreciation for life and people, and like to impact people positively. But when it comes to competing, I definitely don't take well to losing, like you guys don't, and a lot of people. And so the kids got that tone from me. But I try to keep the same, like the hustle towards just training and being around each other. Like it was not perfect without wrestling mats. It was not perfect having to drive 15 minutes packing kids in a Jeep Liberty at Henzo Gracie. And even now it's not perfect with a lot of like alphas and parents that are constantly weighing in, but those things aren't going to have the spotlight. Like our appreciation for getting to train and getting to pursue goals and have fun in these brief years together. We freaking love it, man. And yeah, always try to have fun and just yeah, not get too wrapped up in all the results.
That first year, though, when you're just running hills and hand fighting and climbing ropes, even though they're new kids and they don't necessarily know any better, is it tough keeping them motivated?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would like this is how I'll answer your question. When Coach Hans, so Coach Hans, if you don't know who this guy is, he's a Hall of Fame coach. Won a state title with Upper Perk, set a bunch of records in Pennsylvania. And so he was a Hall of Fame state championship coach. His son came to Faith Christian 5 years ago. So Tom, the father, started coaching with me. It was awesome. And when we sat down just to talk X's and O's, one of the things that he told me, he said, your team is not tough enough. He said they're not like the best conditioned team. They're not the meanest guys out there, and that needs to be the case. And I said, I couldn't agree with you more. Here's where I'm coming from. If I push these guys, we're not going to have any guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how those beginning years were. Like, when I started to press on the gas, they just wouldn't show up. And I didn't have a lot to stand on as far as like, well, if you don't show up, you're not going to wrestle this weekend. Well, if you don't do this, somebody else is going to pass you up for a spot. Like, none of those things were true. We didn't have a real schedule. There was nobody vying for your spot. And so I learned a lot just about relational coaching and trying to just figure out how kids tick and more than anything pour into them and then see if we can work on that secondary product. And so yeah, it was very hard. I learned how to coach a little bit, and then perfect timing when we started to get a lot of the horses that needed to get pushed and could be pushed. Somebody like Tom Hans comes along and goes, "Yo, I'm a good bad cop. I'll toughen these guys up for you so you can keep being a relational coach." So yeah, man.
Got to have that good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, it's been a good marriage with him.
And as someone who's been a bad cop many a times, I do much rather enjoy being the good cop as a 49-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to transition that role.
It's real nice.
What do you think the turning point was getting those horses 5 years in?
So there's a kid, Cale Whittemore, and his dad was a coach for Penridge Youth. Really good wrestle. Once upon a time, wrestled for my pop-up that I've alluded to. So this guy, Matt Whittemore, and his son Cale, his son's going to be a senior for us next year, committed to Lehigh. They were looking at other options for Cale as he started to like go into middle school, and they knew pop-up, so they knew Faith, and they were really just impressed with like the growth of the program. And so in fifth grade, Cale Whittemore came to Faith Christian. Um, and to me, I was moving up with those seventh graders, Max and Damon. And so I was really focused kind of for the first time on like not that K to 12 outfit, but like, we got a varsity team and we're like qualifying for team states, and I'm gonna, keep hustling with these guys. So it didn't really stand out to me that much. It was pretty cool, but pretty much that was the domino effect. If I really had to pinpoint one, like Cale came and all of a sudden all his buddies, because everybody knows each other down here, especially Southeastern PA. Couple other people started transferring in. The Bachman brothers came in fourth and fifth grade a year later. Gage Botero and his brother Lincoln came in a year later in sixth grade and fifth grade. We had a kid, Armin Waltonball. He has since transferred to the Hill School and he's committed to the Air Force. Brilliant kid. But he was like a natural Faith Christian Academy. His parents went to Faith, but in that same age range. So all of a sudden, like Faith is growing and doing its thing, but at a normal level, we're qualifying for states. Kids are a little bit competitive. And all of a sudden back here in fourth grade and fifth grade and sixth grade, there's a little army that's like transferring in, and that that was it. So all of a sudden, those kids started growing up together. A lot of them already competed on club teams and what have you. And then a couple years later, now in middle school, guys like Adam Waters and Max Stein and Chase Hans, like I alluded to, um, all those guys started coming in. So, Kale, Gage, Bachman's, Walton Balls, Wagner's, they were kind of the original crop in fourth, fifth, sixth grade. And then a year, 2 years later, a bunch of these other kids came in, and before you know it, we have all the best kids, and not all the best kids. There's a lot of talented kids, but we've got a really healthy collection of talented wrestlers from the area, all ready to move up into high school together. So that was it, man. And I, being a public school guy, and I know you guys have a lot of like public private conversations.
Oh, you knew my next question.
I like I despised when I came to faith. I had somebody say, "You could be the Becca of the South," and I looked at that person like straight in the eyes, real pissed off. Don't ever say that again. Like I sat on the Nazareth side of team states when they wrestled Becca. I want no part of that. I love coaching. I love impacting kids and families. Like I could care less if it's a talentless group running hills or a talented group. Like it does not fill my cup. But all of a sudden there's a crazy talented group, and that was a tough transition for me to kind of go, hey, stop apologizing for this really talented group and just pour into them and have fun, just like you've been for the last 5 or 6 years. Like if you are true to yourself, it's not going to be any different. You're still going to have just a joy to getting to go on the journey with these guys. So it's been a thrill of a lifetime, man.
So you bring up the private public debate. I am interested to know, is there a lot of private schools that are at the top of Pennsylvania wrestling? Is there a good mix? And at this point, do you have to worry about the next crop, or is it a well-oiled machine and you know that you have a good middle school team coming up?
I'll tack the public private like at the top. Right now, it's definitely not premeditated by the PIAA. PIAA is the governing body of Pennsylvania wrestling. Um, it's not a premeditated thing by them, but I would say in Pennsylvania there's two classifications, double A and triple A. And it seems like triple A, the bigger school division, is filled with a lot of um Bethlehem Catholics in there, and they have won the state championship, but like there's good competitiveness. You know what I mean? Like it's not like there's Faith Christian having 10 placers. Each school has a couple of placers, and one school has a champ, and another school has a champ. There's good diversity in AAA, where you still see Nazareth and Penridge and Quakertown and these public school teams that have always been very good, still having success. In double A, the last 2-3 years, it has been filled with there's still Reynolds, Montoursville. I don't want to do anybody disservice by not mentioning them. They're still very talented Chestnut Ridge public school teams, but it has been Faith Christian, Bishop McDevitt out of Harrisburg, Notre Dame, Green Pond. There's been a lot of like private schools that are at the top. So that transition definitely has happened in the last couple of years. Yeah.
So, another thing that always comes up for debate, especially as Jersey guys, is the one classification versus two. Where I'm down here in South Carolina, there's five, and I think we talked to the Coach Derek Booth at North Idaho, and I think he said they might even have six in Idaho. What are your thoughts on multiple classifications or one classification? Do you think it helps in terms of participation? Does Pennsylvania do like an all-star, like a 2A versus 3A champ or anything like that?
There's not an all-star. There's like the Dapper Dan. I guess it's called the Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic now, where they take a PA All-Star team versus a US All-Star team. So there are little All-Star matches, but not a AA versus AAA. So, um, I think less is more, just from the standpoint of, I mean, at some point, if it gets watered down, you might be catering to more people getting more medals, but um, in my humble opinion, I don't think catering to the lesser is always the answer, right? Because you want people out for the sport, but I think there's still ways to go about that, um, and bring them up at the right speed and continue to grow their confidence without having to create that situation at the state championship level. I think that should continue to be a one classification, two classification sort of system. And I also want to, like, it. There's a lot of these sort of forum talks and stuff like that, and I don't really engage in them because I want to just keep my focus on being grateful for the kids to see an example by their coach of just like, yeah, whatever the PIAA says and institutes, we're going to have a response of gratitude because these guys put on an awesome platform for us to get to wrestle. So however many classifications it is, whichever one we're in, whoever we wrestle, however brackets are structured, let's do it. We're really grateful. That being said, I do think splitting up the team portion of it into like a public private makes a ton of sense, and then come individual. One classification would be, I don't know, would be crazy cool. But the PIAA has to do what they have to do and think about dollars and what stadiums they're filling and how it all works on their end. We already saw the state championship tournament this year get moved from the Giant Center to Altoona High School, which again was still really glad we had it, and we got a couple big wins over McDevitt and McCourt out there, which were awesome for our program. But I think if you're not careful and you start trying to like complain and push the PIAA, you'll start to realize, man, they cross a lot of T's and dot a lot of I's to be able to give us platforms like the Giant Center and Hershey. So whatever makes sense to them, I'm grateful for, and keep on keeping on.
Good answer, Coach.
So you mentioned the Giant Center in Hershey. That's where the individual states are still, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So, like Rich said, we are homers in New Jersey and we love the New Jersey states in Atlantic City, but all our PA friends tell us, oh, you got to go to Pennsylvania State Tournament. You got to go to Hershey for the state tournament. Can you talk about that a little bit, about that experience for the kids?
Yeah, I think I mean, you just grow up and like the junior high and the state championships, they were always held in Hershey, you know what I mean? And so there's just this stigma around it. It was a classic thing for somebody to hand you a Hershey bar or throw a bag of Hershey Kisses at you, and it's the sweetest place on earth. And for families, you can go out there and stay at the water parks and stay at the amusement parks and kind of make a trip out of it. And so there's a lot to do, and it's just sort of the Mecca. You know what I mean? This is what happens at the end of the year, man. You want to make it to Hershey. And so it's been a really cool thing for a lot of years for me to get to compete in and now to lead my program and these kids towards that place. And I try to get them to buy into just making that their home away from home. We talk often like you should know the back hallways of this place. You should know the security guards and the custodian workers and all these PIAA officials and like, let's make this our home base, man. And so it's become a really special place to our kids and to our parents, and the legacy lives on. So have you guys ever been?
So not to the Pennsylvania State Tournament, but we grew up going to Hershey Park in the summer. And the question I have for you off of that, because I used to
You guys steal
drive,
my thunder.
I used to, as we're rolling up, I used to roll down the windows and have my head out the window because it smelled like chocolate. So I could imagine that being awesome for the wrestlers. But I remember there was like a grocery store that was all candy. Is that like a thing during the season, or is that only like during the summer and the kids like raiding candy? Because like as a I'm a true wrestler, cut a lot of weight, but you could always find me eating candy after a tournament. So I would imagine having your state tournament there would be pretty epic.
Are you saying there's a candy store in Hershey that is like all candy? Like,
It was, I mean, so I was like fourth grade, so like the size might have been a little bit different than I thought, but to me, it seemed like a grocery store and it was all candy.
yeah.
And it was like after you got off like the boat tour where it smelled like chocolate or something.
So, dude, you guys have to come back to it. Uh, there, Hershey Chocolate World, Hershey Chocolate World. Yeah, that's what it is. It's all Hershey product, and so you go in there and there's all sorts of candy, done up in different ways. And they have milkshakes and hot chocolate and just all this stuff. So yeah, to a bunch of starving wrestlers getting to go to Hershey Chocolate World after the tournament's done, staple. And like I said, that's another thing you do with your parents, you do with your siblings, take some pictures, and they do have a little tour, a little like amusement ride that takes you through the origin of Hershey and how they make the chocolate, and at the end of it, they give you a piece of candy and back to buying more candy and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a classic, man.
Well, I was gonna say after a state championship and six finalists and four champs, was there chocolate chip pancakes the morning after for everyone or what?
So yeah, we go out to dinner that night, and so we celebrate. Usually, it's at Aruga's, one of the restaurants there. And so we really try to make that a thing, but it's close enough to us that we don't spend the night Saturday night after the
Gotcha.
championship. Some of the parents may, which is a good call for them, but especially me having a bunch of little kids, like tournament gets done, let's go celebrate at the restaurant together, take some pictures and pause and be grateful for whatever was accomplished, and then I go home and put the kids to bed and wake up with them. But pancakes are a staple at the Clymer household, so we probably did have chocolate chip pancakes
Let's
after the
go.
state tournament. So
Coach, I'm curious. I got two more for you. First one being, uh, can you talk a little bit more about just the school itself? I've heard you say a couple times K through 12. Um, what's the student body like? Are you having separate varsity practices in middle school, or is that kind of what the Lions den takes care of?
yeah, so the like Faith Christian Academy is a K through 12 institution. They have a separate. We moved campuses 4 years ago. Bought the old Quakertown Middle School. So 6th to 12th grade, middle school and high school is at one building, and then there's another building that houses the elementary from K to 5. Um, the Lions Den Wrestling Club operates year round, but during the season, um, kids from K to 8 go there and practice and compete in the ICWL schedule, just a league for down here in southeastern Pennsylvania. So those kids practice together and those kids compete together. The varsity is a totally separate thing, 9th to 12th grade. We practice together and have JV kids and varsity kids and try to accommodate everybody throughout the year. There's like the middle school is sort of always a hard thing to communicate because kids have options. You know what I mean? Like you can compete for the Faith Christian Academy middle school team, which competes at a PIAA schedule, and which is a tough schedule, trying to get them ready for the varsity program. But if you need to supplement um, some reps, or maybe you're just not like one of those starting kids, then you can log some extra practices with the Lions Den at night and try to jump into their ICWL schedule, which is much more predicated on like matching up kids with their talent level and making sure kids have a good experience. So bunch of different options for the kids, and that has served us well in our growth. You know, we have a lot of talented guys who want to continue you know, this prestige of where the program's at now. But there's a lot of other people who want to be a part of what we prioritize, and that's a walk with Christ and trying to live for Him and impact people for Him, and they want that, but maybe they're not Gage Batero, Freddie Bachman, Joe Bachman, Cale Whittemore, like these other guys, and so having a lot of options for them allows them to be a part of the program, and yeah, man, everything's at a really cool point. I'm very grateful for a ton of great coaches at all levels, youth, middle school, high school. That's the only reason it could be where it's at. So yeah.
I imagine as the number one team in the country, the wrestling program is probably the big dogs on campus. Is good athletics in other sports as well?
Yeah,
Good
definitely.
teams.
So my uncle is the who was a principal of the school. He's the soccer coach, and he's got three boys, three of my cousins. Next year they'll all be on the high school team as a senior, sophomore, and freshman. But they're state champions a couple years ago. Are always in the top 4, 6, and they're going to have a crazy good team this year. The baseball team was state champs last year. So there's other programs that are very good, and you know, a field hockey program started a couple of years ago, and I've loved seeing to get them or to see them grow kind of like the same way we did, man. It's just real raw and trying to wake up early and do some things and create that habit in the girls. And so there's a good feel around the school, and a lot of people who are hustling after the athletic front. But you know, if I haven't said it enough already, like it is the foundation of all of it is trying to like make Christ the main thing. And I think that's the biggest difference that the kids and families end up feeling, is that it's not like this reckless effort to be the greatest wrestling team known to man. Like it's a really cool thing that we're getting to go through right now. I'll always say that, but you know, it's going to end at some point. Like it's not going to be what I want my life, you know, to stand for. That's not going to be what defines me. You know, a walk with Christ and a relationship with Him and trying to impact people for Him, like that's the firm foundation. And when you really pursue that and then do school and athletics secondary, that's sort of that unmistakable joy. Like no matter what speed bumps come and trials and success or failure, like it's all secondary to this foundational thing over here. And that's what I see on the whole school front. People that are excited to push themselves athletically, but more so they're trying to keep each other accountable towards their walk with Christ. And I think that's the powerful thing going on. So no doubt that athletics will ebb and flow, but hopefully we keep being a light, because that main thing is the main thing.
As a cross country team, you need a coach.
We do, man. We the track team is same thing. Like they're up and coming, and there is a I can't think of his name now. I was just talking to him the other day. A good cross country coach, but like when there's startup programs, because there's growth in the school, and so as people come to the school, they go, "Hey, I'm a cross country guy." The school basically goes like, "Yeah, okay, let's start it up. You want to come to Faith Christian, you know, and we don't offer lacrosse or field hockey or cross country, and so they are trying to hustle after the track program and the cross country program in the fall, and they have a couple runners, but I feel like somebody your caliber, man, is just gonna put them over the top. So, where you say you're down in North Carolina?
South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
That would be a move for you, but yeah, man, we can make it happen.
Jimmy and I are Rolling Stones. We like to move. I'm a big fan of the hero's journey, so I'm trying to encourage Jimmy to get closer to New Jersey, but we also have the West calling us from time to time. But
All right.
I'm always up for good opportunities.
Nice. Jimmy, where are you located? Ish.
I'm in Florida. I'm in outside Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. When did you guys arrive at those locations? I thought you
So
both were in Jersey.
no, we were. I moved to South Carolina in the summer of 2022 to take over the wrestling program at Seneca High School.
Nice.
And then I was originally a special education teacher. Special education is a little bit different down in South Carolina than it is in New Jersey. So I uh, worked on my physical education license, and then I got a phys ed job. So I moved to Greenville. I was living near Clemson. Now I'm living in Greenville, teaching at a charter school, physical education, like strength and conditioning based
Yeah,
at that school now. But
that's
before that, we
awesome.
were in Colorado.
Dang. You guys are well traveled.
Yeah.
Try. Yeah, that was always the goal growing up, is go see places, live different places.
Nice.
Um, but I'm curious, you had four state champs
Yeah.
and six finalists, historic tournament. You and Bishop McCourt, you guys are top teams. What was that tournament like, and what was that like coming out on top?
It's awesome. It was awesome. It is a battle. Everything that I'm telling you, like, man, the joy is beyond the results. This is what it's predicated on. But dude, that McCourt matchup is one that's always brewing. There's so many people talking about it, and man, those guys are awesome. They're elite competitors. I don't need to sell them at all. But they're like a well marketed program, right? And especially a lot of their guys. Again, not a knock on them, they are that talented. But from where we sit, we're the top dogs, and that is there's a lot of bulletin board material that that does rev up those opportunities where we get to wrestle them at Ironman, wrestle them at team states, finish off the year wrestling them at individuals. It's not all about wrestling and results, but those are pretty big moments that we have circled still, and so it made it pretty cool to be able to win those and a huge testament just to the kids and their families and all the hustle to be able to embrace those moments, attack them, train for them. But when the lights are on and when that tension wants to creep in, dude, they're loose. They're loose and they're having fun and they're balling out and it's popular to coach kids that way, especially in today's day and age, but it's a whole nother thing for the kids actually to have that buy-in and have that moxie again when the lights are on and all year long this group showed that they have that sort of elite tick to them, man. So it was a ton of fun. And I don't know where Lake Highland Prep is, but that was another team that we ended up wrestling 3 or 4 times down in Florida there, and those buggers are freaking tough, man.
Yeah, they've come up a couple times. They're not too far from me. I've looked up. I'm like, they got a club. Where can
Dude,
I
get
help
down
out?
there, Jimmy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. One last thing I have for you before we get in the final four, and Coach, we could talk to you all night. Rich and I, when Rich said I got two more questions, I looked at the clock. Like, oh man, already? Uh, but you mentioned McCourt having the marketing, right? I know you got into coaching wrestling to coach wrestling and not worry about social media or marketing, but you have a team that's caliber of a college team. So how do you handle that being the CEO of a high school wrestling team?
It's tough because like if I'm being honest, that's not how I tick. Like my wife is in PR and marketing. So she tries to capture some moments even like this, but just dumb little stuff like putting out graphics, you know what I mean? Like we have a big match coming up against Wyoming Sam and no one's really talking about this. Let's put a graphic out. Let's pump it out on social media. So she's helped push some things like that along. But at the end of the day, I definitely am a guy that I like to just be where my feet are. I don't particularly care what a forum is saying, what a lot of people are saying about me, and I want to in today's day and age, I want to make sure that I get to impress that upon the kids because they definitely are online all the time and very consumed by what people are saying and what their NIL deals could be, and those things are real, and you want to be able to tap into them, but there's 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 more to life than that. And so I really try to just be myself and get the kids to buy into just caring for the people that are around you and not feeling like you need to market yourself every single second of the day. But if I'm being honest, I'm definitely open to learning more about that that side of things, because maybe I should be growing and learning and making myself uncomfortable, just like I asked the kids to do. Um, there's money that's out there, and there's some of these things that the kids definitely are deserving of. So yeah, it's a really tough thing for me to try to figure out, because it's not in my nature. But I think if I approach it the same way I have like coaching wrestling, like it's just going to be a fun figuring out. It's not ultimately going to define me, but we can kind of figure this out together. Trial and error. It'll be a fun thing. So yeah, I need to keep figuring it out.
Cross country coach, phys ed teacher, media team. I don't know. Sounds.
Oh man, dude, it's got everything.
Yep.
It's got everything, man.
System wrestling coach, do all your clips for you. I got you, coach.
Hans's Chase just graduated. I don't know if he's coming back to coach next year, man. Like, man, we're gonna have to talk for a while after this live stream is done.
Coach, is there anything about Faith Christian, about the wrestling program, about the school that we haven't spoke on that you want our fans to hear, any potential students to hear?
Potential students, I'm not trying to sell anybody, so no, not for the potential students. Other than we really do try to pursue Christ more than the wrestling thing, but I don't really think so, man. I mean, I hope Pop Pop has got an acknowledgement. He sparks a lot of joy into me and my family, like and definitely was the reason that I got into, part of the reason that I got into wrestling back in the day, and just puts a smile on my face. A lot of those early years where it did feel like you were banging your head against the wall, and all of a sudden Pop Pop's there loading kids into his truck too. It's like, yeah, this is cool, man. And he still pops in the room, and he'll teach the guys a switch, his favorite move, and um, Pop Pop is the man. But no, man, I don't think anything else. Without like really getting into the individual kids and getting to talk them up, because we've got so many special kids that I'm super proud of, and really grateful. I tell them all the time, like, I'm a fan of you guys. Like I'm so grateful I get a front row seat to everything that you guys are doing and accomplishing and pursuing. So no, I just can't speak openly enough about how grateful I am to be a small part of this program.
How many guys do you have coming back?
We graduate 3. And last year we actually had like 3 or 4 kids transfer out. That is as common as it is for kids to transfer in, albeit in youth and middle school and these other things that keep them in compliance with the PIAA regulations. It is just as common for kids to come in, maybe reclassify, because that's an easier thing to do at a private school as compared to a public school. They'll come in, reclassify, and then go back to their public school. So last spring we had 3 or 4 guys transfer out. That was like that sucked. So this spring I don't think anyone is transferring out, but truthfully I don't know, because it's just a different time and age. Like, people are getting scholarships to go wrestle for boarding schools and being offered money, and that's not where Faith Christian's at. And so some of the times as those things are circulating, I guess that's a real thing that the kids have available to them. And so I don't think any kids are transferring out, but springtime is definitely a time where we don't spend a ton of time together. They go and wrestle for the RTCs at colleges and prep for the US Open and some of their freestyle goals. And I can be more of a dad and a husband and grind after my work and do privates, small groups with the kids sporadically as they need to supplement what they're doing. So yeah, I don't have tabs on the guys like crazy right now, but uh we only graduate 3 guys, so we have half a dozen, 6 to 8 middle schoolers that are coming up, and a majority of the team returning. When I talked about that cluster of kids in middle school, Kale Whittemore, Gage Botero, Lincoln Botero, the Bachman brothers, the Wagner brothers, like that crop of guys, then Adam Waters and the Singers and the Steins and Sigalskis, like all of those guys will pretty much be seniors next year. So next year is a special cluster of kids. Whether or not we stack out and everyone spreads out and we have as dominant a team as we had this year, that's sort of yet to be seen. But it'll be a special cluster of kids next year that are seniors, and I'll definitely be bummed that they're leaving the program, because they've, like I've mentioned, that's pretty much the reason that we are having this conversation right now. Those kids are crazy talented, and there's a special cluster of them. So yeah, a lot of kids returning next year. Should be a fun one.
And those 3 individuals that are graduating, they signed on to wrestle next year in a 4-year.
Yeah, Gage Botero will be Michigan.
Okay.
Max Stein, state runner-up and state third. He's going to UPenn. And Chase Hans, state third, state fourth. He's going to my alma mater, so we can ask him about the Taylor ham and pork roll pretty soon. He's going to Hofstra next year. So
All right, let's go.
yeah, man.
Final Four, Jim.
One quick one.
Oh, go ahead.
Coach, when you were at Hofstra, was Zach Tonelli there coaching?
Yeah, Tonelli. I forgot he's a Jersey guy. He's not a
Yeah.
Wisconsin guy.
He's a Taylor ham guy for sure.
He's a Taylor ham guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
I got a human text. Yeah, he was right from Wisconsin at that time. So he was angry man, intense, not a relational coach. And so when I first met him, like I got off the beach, I came to like an off-season afternoon practice. I don't even think I was wearing a shirt or shoes or anything, and like strolled in and was like, "Yo, what's up, coach?" And he was not a Ben Clymer fan, and little by little we got to know each other more, and what an amazing guy, what an amazing coach. Couldn't be more proud of him. His whole journey to Columbia, now down to VT, and we obviously talk a lot now because there's a lot of guys that he wants to recruit. So Tonelli's a man.
Yep.
Yeah. We had him on last year, and I was on Team New Jersey with him, and I kind of got that side of him too that you got. We're here to win.
That's it, baby. Get out of the way. You were on like an all-star team with him?
So team, like the dual team, and
Yeah,
then
gotcha.
Fargo team.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Old man over here.
I got 11 years on you, bro.
Final Four, Rich?
Let's do it.
All right. Coach, are you a coffee drinker?
Yes.
How do you brew your coffee and how do you take it?
How do I brew it? Is there just a coffee pot, filter, grinds, make about 8 cups. I'll have 2 of the cups. My wife will have one. And I just put little cream. Put a little cream in the bottom of the cup, splash the coffee in there, don't need to stir it, anything. If I go to Wawa, I'll probably get French vanilla cream. But at the house, my wife gets this organic, just no flavor, sweet cream, and that's what I do.
You all got Sheets in your neck of the woods or Wawa country?
Sheets is like Taylor ham versus pork roll. Like Sheets is like central to Western PA, and Wawa is Eastern PA. So there's probably Sheets somewhere not too far, but I'm a Wawa guy.
Yeah, we are Wawa guys because we grew up on Wawa, but I had a cup of coffee at UPJ, and I used to be a sucker for Sheets. They had like PB&J shakes. I was a sucker for those after matches.
Nice. Is that where you guys went? UPJ?
I went there for a semester.
Gotcha.
No, I graduated from Monmouth University in New Jersey.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like I said, Jimmy did all the wrestling in college and I did all the distance running. So I wrestled 103 pounds my senior year. So I thought it was, and then back then it was 118 pounds. So I thought it was probably best that I go the running route than the wrestling route.
And Monmouth, I heard, is a beautiful campus, so it sounds like you did good for yourself.
It's a pretty nice campus. If you've ever seen Little Orphan Annie, the movie, Daddy Warbucks' mansion, that's actually Woodrow Wilson's house that's on the campus. It's called Wilson Hall now.
Dang.
So, little Hollywood fact for you. Coach, do you have any daily practices or rituals you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of Ben Clymer?
Um, little yoga and time in the Word in the Bible. My dad had a practice with me. There's 31, typically 31 days in a month. And there's 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. Have you guys ever read Proverbs?
I have not, Jimmy.
I've dabbled.
Yeah. Not all it is like wise sayings by King Solomon, who's accredited as like the wisest man on earth. God blessed him with wisdom as a king, and he wrote all these wise sayings. And so there's 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. Takes you 5 minutes to read through a chapter. And so whatever the date is, I read that chapter of Proverbs. And that serves me well as I get to be like I said, a husband and a parent and work with people and customers and get to serve the wrestling program. There's always fires that sort of spark up, and having Proverbs coursing through me helps with a lot of those. But another one, if we still have time for it, my little kids now, my oldest is Colton. He just turned 6, and I have 3 girls, Hayden, Kelsey, and Hannah. One of the things I do with them is an 8 before 8. They have 8 things that they have to do before 8 o'clock. It's make their bed, pick out their outfit, brush your teeth, kiss his girls, tell them that he loves them, 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, devotions and pray, fruit and water. Why can't I think of the 8th one? I'll remember it before we're all done. But 8 before 8 is another practice in the Clymer household.
Love it.
Yeah.
Take the trash down.
Nice.
Right. Yeah, man.
I like that.
Yeah, 8 before 8.
Coach, what are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
Me and my brother Bobby are about to start reading Habitudes, more of like a devotional book through characteristics of Christ and how to act. But other than that, I'm not reading anything outside of Proverbs. And typically just like on my Pandora would be Hillsong worship, or if I need a little bit of pep in the step, Red Hot Chili Peppers is my definitely Red Hot Chili Peppers radio is my go-to.
Okay. Who's controlling the aux cord in the wrestling room?
That would be DJ Chet. That's Chase Hans. Max Stein, another senior, he'll play some music. That's pretty much it though. But DJ Chet, Chase Hans, he's got the aux, man. He that's accredited to his dad, because his dad, when he runs a practice, he has a playlist that like speaks to the tone and the timing. Like he runs a red flag practice, which is like the toughest thing you've ever gone through, and his whole playlist over an hour and 15 minutes like is in unison with when he's going fast, or when he's being like crazy intense, or when he's running sprints, or when he's like, it's amazing. So Chase gets that flavor from his dad, and he knows what type of practice is being run, what the tone of the room needs to be, and he strikes the right mood, man.
I like that. Playlist for the vibe of practice. That's our wheelhouse, Jim.
Yeah, I dig that for sure. Can we
There's a
find
lot of
that?
boxes checked by you guys, man. Like I said, DJ Chet and his dad, I don't know really how much they're going to be around anymore now that he's graduated. So you guys are going to slide in perfect.
Say the word.
Yeah, for real.
Come on up. Come on up.
Coach, last one we got for you. This is a lighthearted one to close it out. Maybe there's some unique things in Pennsylvania food-wise that Jimmy and I haven't heard about or discovered. You mentioned you have three daughters. Maybe you're a closet Swiftie. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Do I have a guilty pleasure? I don't. Pleasure. I mean, I don't really think so. Um, I don't really think so. I'm trying to even think what would like quantify as a guilty pleasure that I like partake in. No, man, I don't know. We go to the beach all the time. That's not a guilty pleasure. Like we will drop anything, our work in the week to like, somebody that has a beach house lets us go down for a night or something like that, or just life's chaotic. We go down there and sit by the water.
Where are the climbers going to the beach?
Food classic, Ocean City, New Jersey. That may
Okay.
be from you guys. Maybe that's not the that spot, but my great uncle had a beach house down there. So being one of nine, like we didn't have the funds to be going on family vacations all the time, whatever. So the fact that great Uncle Paul had a beach house, we got to look forward to going to that every year. And we did that for a lot of years. So then when he finally sold it, we have carried on that tradition. And like I said, I have a couple friends that have places down there. And so me and my wife have continued the tradition of getting to Ocean City. So
Okay.
yeah, man, Ocean City, Chili's Arcade. It's
Mhm.
that's the move. We've been down to what's the place everybody goes to in the Carolinas there?
Cape
Outer Banks.
Hatters, Outer Banks.
Yeah, we've been to
Yeah.
Outer Banks a couple times too.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that's the cool thing about New Jersey. There's lots of people that lay claim to the Jersey Shore. We grew up in Point Pleasant and we wrestled and ran in the Shore Conference, but anywhere on the coast, people like to say that's the Jersey Shore. So we take a lot of pride in that.
yeah, man, it's a classic place you guys got to grow up in.
Yes. You
I'm sorry
don't
I can't
think
help you out with a guilty pleasure though. I don't know. I got nothing.
That's
no
all right.
candy, no
Video games, golf.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So I used to be very good at golf, and then we started having kids, and my wife got a little more stern. But I don't even think she knows this. Kayla, you down here? No, she's not down here. Me and Colton, my 6-year-old son, we're gonna go golfing this Saturday afternoon. So I'm
Nice.
not as good a golfer as I once was, but I do love golf, and I love tennis. Like I told you, me and my wife haven't lost a game of tennis in a long time, and now everyone's trying to get us into pickleball
I was
because they
gonna
can't
say
tennis.
it's the fastest growing sport in America.
I know, but I don't like okay, I'll try to learn it and compete against you because I love competing, but part of me goes, what? No one can beat us at tennis, so now we have to go play pickleball. I don't like it.
I think
So
if you're beating him in tennis, you're probably gonna whoop him in pickleball.
perhaps. Yeah. What did you say? What did you say just before the golf?
Video games?
No video
No.
games. Um, we were always like working. We weren't allowed to play video games when we were a kid. Yeah.
Surf when you go to the beach?
No,
No.
just a little body surfing.
Okay.
Nothing crazy.
What about ice cream?
Definitely ice cream. Ben and Jerry's, when we were just down there, we went down there last weekend. It was like free ice cream day at Ben and Jerry's, and so we got to go to Joey's Arcade and get free ice cream. But typically we go Core Bros. Mr. Softy is the name of a ice cream truck. Comes around here every Sunday. We don't miss a time. So yeah, I love ice cream, but candy wise, me Adam Waters on our team, 3-time state champ. He's committed to the Ohio State University. He'll be a senior next year. Me and him should be sponsored by peanut butter M&Ms.
Okay,
I'll go peanut butter M&Ms anytime.
let's go.
So you're going peanut butter M&Ms over Reese's Pieces?
I'm probably going. Man, Reese's Pieces are so good. I mean, like on ice cream, that's what I'm looking
All
for.
right.
Like, right, if you Reese's cup, Reese's Pieces, like that's got to be the topping. Um, I guess I haven't had just like a bag of Reese's Pieces in a long time because that's always more of an ice cream topping. Like the peanut butter M&Ms, and people know that I love peanut butter M&Ms. So
I give them to you.
as people are giving them to me as a gift or whatever, I end up going peanut butter M&Ms more than Reese's Pieces. But yeah.
So we got some guilty pleasures.
Yeah, you guys got that out. I got a
That's what we
couple.
do over here at Airey Bros. We get the best out of everyone.
And next year it's going to happen at Faith Christian, man. The audience tonight got to see the genesis of the Airey Bros coming to coach at Faith Christian. How
That's
special
it.
is that?
Let's go.
I love it.
Coach, thank you so much. Thank your wife for reaching out to us. This was an amazing podcast. I really enjoyed it, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing what you guys do. It's a pleasure being on here talking with you guys.
Absolutely, Coach. We had a blast. It was a pleasure getting to know you and chat with you and hear about the program and everything you got going on. And we will we'll be adding a Faith Christian banner to our wall for teams that we support. You'll be the only high school team in Pennsylvania that we'll be supporting because you are our first Pennsylvania high school wrestling coach. So we were great to dig into the program and hear a little bit more in depth about Pennsylvania wrestling. So we do appreciate you. Enjoy your spring with some time off and some time with the family, and enjoy that next trip to Ocean City.
Will do. Thank you, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Coach Ben Clymer from the #1 wrestling team in the country at Faith Christian Academy. Make sure you go check out those links in the show notes. Give the program a little bit of love. That is it for the Airey Bros this week. We hope you have a great